Oh, we're live. You're in the toilet with Dan. Good evening. Good evening. How is everybody? Anime Reyes is here. Probably the only one in the building right now. I hope you can hear me okay. Ilocana in Singapore is in the house. Hello, hello. Jean Zel, Jean God, Rodell is here. Jean Avery is here. How are you? Miss Minch stopped by to say hi. Hello, hello. God repairs. Talks vlogs. Good morning, goddaughter. How are you? 3 million people in the house. Give me a thumbs up or give me a sign if you can hear me okay. Mawama is here. Thanks for dropping by. Good evening. Good evening. How are you? Yeah, we're going to start doing daily live streams every night. I'm having, last night when we did this live stream, the first thing I want to talk about is I thought that the soundboard was working. And so we spent like hours working on it. Jorlyn, we spend like hours working on the electronic soundboard. Now, so just so you know what I'm talking about, do you remember this, or maybe some of you have one of these? Oh, don't! I could have had a V8, so I got this V8. This V8, what is it? V8X Pro, and this thing I kept trying to install it. I couldn't get it to work. And with Windows 10 and Windows 11, you have to do a lot of fooling around trying to adjust the settings. And so I got it to the point where it would work intermittently, but then I became frustrated and I just disconnected it and I threw it in a box. So maybe the same thing has happened to you. Maybe you folks throw yours in a box. But anyway, so now I'm thinking, let's give it another try, because the other thing is not working out so well. The soundboard that I had connected electronically to the live stream did not work. And so before I dump that, I will go in tomorrow and I will check all the settings to make sure they're correct. But otherwise, I'm thinking if I can't get it figured out, we might go back to this thing or I might order a new one. And then I could have some sound connected into this live stream. All the goodies that Pacquiao Mertz has. You know what I'm talking about, the laughs. What's on this thing? You've got the laugh button, the clap button, the boom, the gunshots, the oh no, kiss, embarrass, cheer, crow, thank you, victory, debut, uh, despise. And then there are two songs in there, an intro and an outro, and a whole bunch of other stuff you can connect to it. But it looks like I got it. It looks like I have a. I don't even know where all the wires are. I would have to fake it until you make it to see if I can get that darn thing to work. So, welcome in, welcome 3 million people in the house for stopping by and saying hi. I realize that this is a crappy time to be doing a live stream because everybody else is doing one at the same time. They work all day, they get home from work, and then they fire up the computer and they do a couple of hours. Some of you go all night long. I don't know how you can do it. And then get up in the morning, get the kids dressed and off to school, and start the whole process all over again. Go to your job if you've got one, or, uh, start preparing for the day. I mean, it's really difficult, to keep the enterprise going. I do apologize. I just dropped my watch on the floor. I don't wear a watch. It was just a piece of painter's tape that I'll need because if you were to see how this whole thing is set up, you would just laugh and laugh and laugh at me. I've got wires going everywhere, extension cords, wires all over the place. It's yeah, I know because you're putting in all these hours. Believe me, I know how difficult it can be, especially when you're taking care of a family and raising children. It's not easy. I mean, I could imagine that some days you just want to just sit in the corner and cry. Life can be so difficult. It can be so hard. And so the same for me. I'm not getting any younger, and but I want to keep the ball rolling in the right direction. I don't know if I'll ever have a breakout moment. You know, Thanks to all of you in here, the revenue stream keeps improving, and that's a really good thing because I want that money. I want that money so I could give it to you. That's the reason why I want it. I want the money so that I could do giveaways without having to ask for sponsorships. No, I would never probably ask for sponsorships. It is nice when people send super chats and money and stuff like that. I'm very flattered by it. But I just turn and burn that money, just turn around and make sure that I give it back to y'all, so that we can keep the ball rolling in the right in the right direction. I mean, that is what it's all about for me. I realize that you have to elevate. You have to elevate folks, in any way that you can. Kylie Vlogs is here. Hi, Kylie. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of push, a little bit of help, and then you're helping that person over the top of the hill, over the top of the mountain and down the other side. And everybody knows it's easier once you crest over that peak. You know, that's the most important thing. Sometimes you just need a little smile from somebody, a little help with transportation in your wallet, something like that. Beth is here. Hi, Beth. How are you? Well, it's evening here in the Philippines. Right now, it's a little after 9 p.m. on, I think, what day of the week is it, you guys? I lose track. It's Tuesday. Tim Deziak is here. Tim, how's it going? Tim, I'm glad you're here. Tim, uh, I'm hoping that you could answer this question. What happened to Eric and Mercy? What happened to Eric and Mercy and Drake? What happened to the Drake Hotel and Pappy's Bar and Chill? Because I'm starting to see on the expat forum there that they have disappeared, that they shut everything down and they have flown the coop or even flew the country, and it breaks my heart a little bit because I wanted them to succeed. And then there are people in the chat, they're complaining about how they left owing them a whole month's worth of pay. They haven't been paid, and and hope against hope that something will happen, that someone will call up and say, "Come down and get your paycheck." They flew the coop without paying the staff. They owed their vendors all kinds of money. They just didn't seem like the type of people that would flee the country without paying all their debts off. They just didn't seem like it. Maybe they're embarrassed. I'm not so sure. I failed at many businesses, but I try to do it with a little bit of class. So I hope what I'm hearing about them is not true. Oh, you're watching from Florida. I got kids in Florida, in Jacksonville. I don't know if Jacksonville is really Florida, but 7 million people in the house. So the Drake apparently they sold out and they left town without paying their people and their vendors. That's what I'm hearing. It breaks my heart because some of the employees are complaining in the chat. Please, if you're close to them, let them know we really need our money. They were such nice people. How could they possibly fly the coop without paying them? And I wouldn't have let people go a month, even if the business was failing. And I have had this happen before. I would and did let everybody know almost immediately. Hey, we aren't going to be able to make payroll. And I actually took them around the shop and I said, "What do you want? Is there something in here you've got your eye on that that you need? Maybe you can start your own gig, and I could start you off by taking a piece of this fine equipment." And so, I did the best I could, and but I mean, I tried to do my best to make things right. Sometimes it took a little bit of time, but I would have been the first person. I'm always the first person to say, "Hey, I'll give up something." So, Beth, you're doing well. Yes, yes. I'm glad to hear that you're doing good. We're going to be doing a sponsorship, a little bit of money. I'm a little bit embarrassed because I can only offer up what I got. And so I just realized that I'm just a small player in this world of sponsorship. Uh, Good morning. It's Bruce Davis is in the house. What would the live stream be without Bruce being here? And Kylie Vlogs. Nice to see everybody. Nice to see you two here. And thanks for dropping us a link to what you got going on. They're gone. They are gone though, huh? They flew the coop, as they say. Yeah, and they left some Filipinos and Filipinas hanging. Yeah, that is not good. Sadie Neal is here. Let me go to my phone, Sadie, and get you something to wear here. No, no, I wasn't implying that you were naked. Let me see if I got you on my phone here, so I could give you a jacket. Add as moderator. There you go. Ah, yeah, we don't discriminate around here. That's for sure. The hotel owed over 700K for the electric bill. Whoa, that's what you're hearing, huh? That's terrible. Mike Married is here. How are you, Mike? How's everything going? How's your day starting off? Beth is here. Mike is here. The gang's all here. 8 million people in the house. Yeah, so yeah, I was very disappointed to hear that. Because they're such nice people, and I thought they were going to make it because they had excellent service, good food. They were very, very concerned about how the customers were doing. They knew a lot of people by name. I'm really, really disappointed to hear that things didn't work out. Hi, Sir Mike. You're very well loved around here, that's for sure. So are things starting to thaw out up there in Angela City? That's what I'm trying to. The restaurant is open. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that the former manager, is going to take the place over and is going to try and get everything squared away with their landlord. And I'm sure the landlord wants to see some money, and so they most likely will do all they can in their power to help the new owner, a young lady, I understand, help them make it work. And I hear that she's quite the businesswoman. Apparently, Eric and Mercy and Drake weren't so good at it, but the restaurant on Red Street is open. The one we ate at, Tim. Or are you talking about the one in the main hotel? Because I was reading somebody went over there 2 days ago to the main hotel, and they were closed up. What is my plan? Well, I actually had a couple things that I was going to run by the folks. Oh, you don't know anything about the new owner. Apparently, it was one of the employees, a former manager that they entrusted. They put a lot of trust in, and I understand that she's a very competent businesswoman. I really don't know all the details about that, but all I'm doing is just getting it from the Facebook groups that have been set up. But it hasn't been nasty or mean. It hasn't been that sort of a thing. It's been more of a plea, and that kind of like shines a light on the Filipino culture, I would say. Ronaldin Fuentes is here. How are you, Ronaldin? How are you today? Nice to see you. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know how that's going to turn out, but man, if you owe 700 K on an electric bill, you probably owe a whole bunch of money to your suppliers, you know. You got to square all that stuff away. Hopefully, they'll come back to the USA. They'll get to work, earn some money, and pay off the debt. There's one group, that group that we're in, Tim, that somebody came on and they said, well, it's in the court. The court's going to have to work it out. There are lawyers involved, and they really wouldn't give a whole lot of information, which is understandable because they're probably close to them, and they're like most of us. They kind of liked Eric and Mercy. We would see them around town all the time. Remember when everybody? Oh, Tim, do you remember when we ate that one time at Tequila Reef? They used to hang out there a lot, and I remember a time when Minnie and I spotted them, and Minnie just jumped off the chair so fast. You know, like she's been watching them on YouTube for years, right? But when she sees them in person over there at Tequila Reef, she jumps out of her chair and she starts chasing after Mercy, And I was like, no, 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 don't do that. You're gonna scare them. We'll catch up to them. Don't worry about it. I heard that it was open. I'm not sure. I heard that. Yeah, I don't know if they changed the name or what happened there, but I think you should talk about being married to a Filipina. The truth that Filipinos are more complex than what men in the West think. I'd have to say that I agree with you on that point. You know, they are very complex, and they a lot of times, when you're pulling one out of one culture and then putting them in another, as in the case of when Minnie and I were married, it could be very challenging, for because you're assuming that she knows she's going to be adapt to the cult she's going to be able to adapt quickly to the cultural differences, but the truth of the matter is it could be a very, very difficult challenge. Supposedly Drake was offered 3 million and he left the next day. I got to tell you, I don't think it's worth 3 million. As a matter of fact, I didn't think that Drake was worth a dime. Being in business myself, and from afar, observing from a distance, my money wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have bet any money on their success. I was hoping for their success because they were doing such a great job. But sometimes, you could put lipstick on a pig, and it's still a pig. You know what I mean? And so the thing, of course, that caught my attention about the whole thing, right, was it's right next to, you know what hotel, and those guys are great operators, and I saw some problems all just almost instantly with the competition that they were going to face from the big guys that have been next door for probably the last 10 or 15 years. Good evening, Crystals. You cracked me up. What did you call the septic tank? A poop bank? Is that what you said? I was laughing so hard when I saw your comment. I thought it was so hella funny. I laughed for like a good 5 minutes over that. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have attempted it. Just because you have a vacant building that's closed down, you have to start thinking about, why is it? Why is it the business didn't succeed in the first place? When you had the not what's the name of the place that's right next door? The place I always stay at on the corner. There are reasons why people like it. The reasons why people like that hotel. and wouldn't stay at the Drake. One reason is a lot of older folks go there, and they don't like climbing three stories up to the third floor room, place without an elevator. And the hotel in the corner there, I can't remember the name of it. We stay at it all the time, and I can't remember what the name of it is. The building that's painted red. Their first floor is a lobby with elevators, and that gives people a certain level of anonymity that they're seeking, And so I think it's brilliant because let's say you're a guy that's out there and your main motivation is to hook up with as many, you know, Filipinos or Filipinas as you possibly can during your short 2-week millionaire vacation. And so while you're doing that, there's certain you don't really want to have to do the walk of shame, And so that was the thing that caught my attention. I thought was brilliant. That's not the reason why I stay there, of course. I stay there because they have elevator service. Some people are personal, but no business flair. Well, and that's confusing because I thought they had it. When I was watching him on his YouTube channel, I was thinking to myself, he knows how to market his product. Now, the thing is, for the location where the Drake is, I kept thinking to myself, will it be enough? Will it be enough to pull people in spite of its shortcomings? And so he probably did the best he could. I mean, for crying out loud, they did the lobby, with the bar and everything on the first floor. They did such a fantastic job. And they all knew that they would have to, that was going to be the draw. Would people, come there for the food and then tolerate having walk up to the third floor instead of having to take the elevator because they don't have one? Would they? Would the food and would the bar be enough to keep people happy so that they won't think so much about having to lug all their stuff up to the third floor? That's what I was thinking about. So, you know, I wouldn't have taken the risk myself, even though I thought that the game plan was brilliant, because I could invest my money in other things and I don't have to have that the headache of having to manage employees and all this other stuff. I guess what I'm saying is there are easier ways of making money. So if you're going to throw that much money at it, a service oriented business, then you have to really, really be good. Your location has to be excellent and all the ducks have to be in a row, right? It has to make sense. And, of course, the deal there is no elevator. The rest of it was fine, but the elevator was, is the reason why I think that even today I won't stay in a place. If my first question is, do you have an elevator? And if you don't have an elevator, my next question is, do you have a room available on the first floor? And of course, they never do, because that's the first question that comes out of people's mouths is, do you have a room on the first floor? I kind of doubt that most people that I hang around with anyway, including some of you in this chat, probably wouldn't stay in a place where where your man is 68 years old and you have to lug all your crap up 3 flights of stairs. I'm not doing it at age 68. I am not doing it. I don't wear stinky clothes and I don't climb stairs when I'm paying for a room, especially if I'm paying prevailing rate for the room. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, so it's a tough nut to crack, is what I'm saying. It's a very, very tough nut to crack. It's a business that I never ever could imagine seeing myself in. But too many other hotels in the area. There has not been any tourists. That's the other problem. There's no tourist action. Of course, in a busy tourist season, Tim, you're making a good point. you would be able to count on the overflow. And so if it were busy and season was increasing and rocking and rolling, well, man, I'm telling you, you'd get the overflow. And that would be enough, probably in regular tourist season, in order to make the place go. But unfortunately, the tourism is going the opposite direction in the Philippines. It's going the other way, and that ain't good. So 6 months could definitely kill you. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about, Bruce. I don't think any of us would do it. We just won't do it. I gave that up a long time ago. Even Minnie will tell you. You don't even. I don't even have to prompt her. Minnie, what's the first thing I talk about when we're selecting a room to stay in? Does the hotel have an elevator? Oh yeah, and that's the other problem, Mike, with the first floor. And so you're kind of screwed all the way around. You're screwed no matter what you do. Because yeah, then if you're lucky enough, and I do mean lucky enough because I'm usually not, to get a room on the first floor, then you have to deal with all the other stuff, the noise, as you pointed out. It's a no-win situation. Yeah, very few hotels right now are fully booked, and I'm starting to see because Tim, Mitty and I were talking about heading your direction. We're Bruce, you're there too. We're talking about heading up there as soon as there's a break in the weather. That's a place that we're coming up to, and we've been shopping around and taking a look at some hotels, but the better deals really are not in the hotels. The better deals are all in the people that are posting Airbnbs, that keep dropping their price because they're sucking wind too. They got Airbnbs all over the place. They can't sell them, and so you can get a good deal for a month or two. Des is here. Hi, Des. How are you and Jason? Good to see you. Yeah, no, yeah. If you don't have someone to carry up the luggage, it would be very, very difficult. So the best deals that are hanging around right now are actually in the Airbnbs where you can negotiate. Well, like Minnie and I did. We stayed in Cebu for a month, and the apartments were so cheap, the rooms were so cheap. We took friends with us, and we said, hey, come with us. We'll get you your own place. And they were like, what? Yeah, because they were, when I called them up and I said, hey, I need a room for a month, and they negotiated that whatever it was, 13,000 or 14,000 peso deal, which is still quite expensive, but the hotels were crazy. They're not moving. They're not budget much on their price, but the Airbnbs are second wind, right? So they need money. They need money right now, and so Minnie and I we rented two rooms, and usually when you do that, they'll say, hey, can you Gcash us the security deposit for both rooms? And then of course they know us there. I've stayed there and said, hey, it's Dan, we're coming. And they said, oh, Dan, oh, okay. Yeah, sure, Dan, no problem. We'll wait till you get here. We don't need to collect up a deposit from you, which was really great. And so we show up and, uh, we just had a fabulous time. In fact, I hated to leave. I hated to leave, because I love Cebu so much. And they asked us, do you want to stay another month? And of course, I'll tell you, it was crickets the entire time that we were there. It was crickets. Oh, so you're going to be going. You're going to be heading down. You're going to be heading to Vancouver. You were saying. So enjoy your time there. Yeah, you're going to be leaving for a few weeks. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Of course, we wanted to see you, but I like hanging around. Well, probably we'll be hanging around a little bit at Philly's bar to watch to people watch, and then we'll be going down to Tequila Reef to eat some good food, and then we want to check out the new place on the Red Street on the corner there, and so that's probably what we'll be doing and hanging around the mall like we usually do. And so I'll be looking for a really, really cheap place to rent, somewhere in that same range that I was just talking about. And people are telling me, and I've been looking on Airbnb, and I've been seeing that, yeah, they're not dropping prices on Airbnbs as fast as I'd like to see them. But when we get serious about going there, I'm telling you, we'll make a phone call. We'll drop a dime, and start we'll start negotiating. I should get my brother-in-law to lease out a condo in Cebu. Well, there's no shortage of condos in Cebu. they won't. They just won't drop their prices. Except where Minnie and I stayed, we did fine because the people understand the business climate. Let's put it that way. The people are earthy. They know they got to do something. Whenever you feel froggy, you got to leap. So they're not hanging around sitting on their hands. They're not sitting on their hands trying to. They're gonna move. As soon as I made the inquiry, I made it through the email, and so they didn't make the connection. Oh, it's Dan, right? Because I don't put that on my email address. I don't put my name, right? So it took them a while, and they go, "Hey, wait a minute." So I guess what happened was when the emails from the previous time came out, then they could see who it was, and then they they were like clamoring. They were chomping at the bit to get those apartments rented. Yes, exactly, Tim. When are you getting married? Where are you going on your honeymoon? Oh, you'll be back the end of August. Okay. You have that work experience training program you're going through, right? Yeah, that's right. Have a good time visiting your sister if you're headed that way. Yeah, Mike kills me. He really kills me. Griselda, good evening. Chrissy Mama is in the house. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging around. So, what is the subject of the day? We kind of already got started, right? We're already 32 minutes into the live stream, and I confess that my electronic soundboard did not work because I watched the replay and and every time I played the soundboard, you just hear silence, in the replay. There was just like a pause in the sound. And so I dug this out of the trash. I dug the I dug the V8 X Pro, and I'm gonna try and see if I can't get this thing to work. I might call in reinforcements to see if they can help me figure out how to make this thing work. But I don't have any of the cords anymore in the box. I don't know what happened to them. See, this is how I mean, would you live with a guy, man, Minnie puts up with a lot, who just rolls up cords like this and throws them in the drawer? I mean, I am not lying. I mean, I don't even know. There's stuff in here. There's stuff. There's stuff all over this desk drawer. I wouldn't even know where to look. Yeah, I know. I know. Uh, they keep things straight. They're very good about things. I'll tell you what. For having common sense, you see, this is one of the great things about Minnie. She really knows the culture, and so she has a lot of common sense. So if we get to some point in time, we're dealing with things like, I think Bruce brought something like this up about not throwing change on the table. There's a certain way you gotta talk to people, you know, and handle certain situations. And that's what we're talking about. You don't usually go up to somebody and accuse them of doing something, and things like that. And so she'll make sure that she goes over this stuff with me in advance when we have a difficult situation, or she'll volunteer to handle it, saying, "Listen, this is touchy, and then I think that I probably should take care of this one." And so on some of the stuff, she will take the lead. Let's see, they bought it to make money, but renting it out wasn't working. Oh yeah, well, Airbnb. I don't know if they're on there, but it's in the toilet. When we go to the mall, Mike, and somebody says to me, "Excuse me, sir, can I talk to you about an investment opportunity? And then I'll just tell him, I'll just say, if you're going to try and sell me a condo, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to tell me that it's an investment opportunity. Melanie is here. Hi, Mel. How's everything in Caridad? I think Tim was saying that it didn't flood, or he hasn't flooded in his area yet. But it is flooding, right, Tim? Mike Mayer, do you think that is what's wrong in the West? No common sense anymore? Well, I was watching a TikTok where there's a young lady uh, expressing her concern about graduating from college and not being able to find a job. Her first time out, she was offered up a job at Chipotle or something like that, a fast food restaurant, and then she said she told him to stick it. She wasn't even nice about it. I don't know if she actually did. That's what on TikTok. I told them to go f themselves. I got me a GD degree, and of course I'm like, oh no, oh, why would you talk to somebody like that, right? Because you might end up having to take them up on their offer. That might be the best that you could get to start off with, right? So I mean, I don't think that it's such a wise thing to tell people that are trying to help you out by hiring you that you know to shove it. Not in the first interview, anyway. So then she continues on, and I was rolling on the ground. I mean, this video was going viral. It's because she started talking about you boomers out there. I don't want to hear shit from you. That's what she kept saying. I was howling laughing. None of this crap about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. None of this crap about you know. She just went over and over and over. Yep, I kept shaking my head. Yep, sounds like something I would say. Definitely sounds like something I would say. Well, Mike, I got to tell you, it might not be such a bad thing, to go ahead and buy that thing if you can afford to buy it and sit on it. But also, I noticed something. And Tim, have you noticed it in that expat community, Philippine expats or whatever it is that we're in? Did you notice that there are a lot of people that are posting looking for lodging, seeking lodging, and they put the dates that they're in, and then all they end up doing is once in a while you get an expat that say, "Oh, I got an in-law apartment that you could rent just for that purpose." Sometimes that'll happen, but more times than not, you'll get 100 real estate agents going on that blog site, and they'll be saying, "Oh, call me. I have a place available for you." And then they'll start naming all those expensive towers that are at IT Park and all this other crap. That isn't what they're looking for. They're looking for a guy like you, Mike, that has a place to rent them, independent, makes their own decision, is an astute business person. They're looking for you. And so I wouldn't think that that would be such a bad thing. But if you're coming to me and I'm in the mall and you're saying, "Sir, I've got a great investment opportunity for you," I start running the other direction. I'll say, "Hey, does it involve a house and a lot?" Because if it involves a house and a lot, then you have my attention. But if it doesn't, I'm out of here. So you cannot. I'm allergic to the word condo. You say the word condo, and I will clear out a room in a second. I'm telling you the truth. You say condo, and by the time you're finished and getting the O part out, I have hit that door so hard, and I've taken as many people with me as I possibly can carry. I just won't do it. No way. No way. I don't wear stinky clothes, and I don't buy condos. Hey, Daisy Lynn Castro sings like a bird is here, celebrating 12 months of membership. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I love Daisy Lynn Castro. I'll tell you what, if I had all the time in the world, I would be all over your YouTube channels. But most of the time, I'm sitting here by the computer doing my own video editing and trying to figure out how to get that YouTube money in my pocket. But Daisy Lynn, she seems to be doing a pretty good job at it. She has a fan club going on. She has a fan club going on. But yeah, I'm kind of uh, protective of Daisy Lynn a little bit, and I'll tell you the reason why. I'll share it with you. I don't mind because it was her and Pinky Gray. They were like the first two, right? And Mel was early. They were like the first two or three that caught my attention ASAP. And I hung with them. And I hung with them. But I'm telling you, there's certain things that do bother me about Daisy Lynn. And it is not her singing, right? It's not her singing. It's the insistence that if you really want to help somebody out, I and I don't mean to embarrass Daisy Lynn. In fact, she probably chimed in and she's probably gone already. But if you really want to help somebody out, then send them your remittance through PayPal so they have it in their pocket immediately, right? I mean ASAP. And so that's how you help somebody out. Just my little take. I see a lot of people sending it through the super chat so they can get their name on the screen. And I don't mind doing that once in a while. I like, once in a while. I don't think I've done it in a very long time. Maybe I did it a couple of weeks ago when I was watching a live stream of or or a premiere of Marco at Overstay Road, who has changed a lot in the last few months. And so I really appreciate how he's coming into his own. So, but I also sent him some money in PayPal. See, so yeah, I want to see my name on the big screen. That's usually what motivates you to do that. But unfortunately, they'll take that 33%. They won't even ask you. They won't even say thanks for the money, and they take it and they gobble it up. And it just rubs me the wrong way. Melanie saying, Tim, our place is flooding. Every time there's a heavy rain or typhoon, it looks like a lake and all of our things are wet. The last 11 months. And you know what? And I've been over there. I don't mind telling you, I've been over there, Tim, to Mel's place. And they got a serious problem. They got to get some construction equipment out there and they got to shore up. They got to dig out the flood channel. They have a flood channel that goes right behind her house, and they need to dig it out because if you get a torrential flood, in fact, in Mel's place, you're just getting a little bit of water, and once that thing fills up and it overflows, you are screwed. It's the only way to put it.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you listen to people talking, they don't make sense. Oh,
Yeah.
uh,
I hear you.
oh,
Turn this down a little bit.
most of the time.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? What's up, Bruce? A
Not
toilet
much.
investment is way much better than a condo. Exactly. That's why we're gonna exactly. And that's why I did that video. I was showing you guys the septic system. Now I don't really know how to install one of these, but by the time we get around to putting that plastic tank in the ground, I will know how to install it. I'm just going to go watch a few YouTube videos. It'll show me where the inlet is, the outlet is, the leach lines. That's all you got to know, right? Plus, we do have a pumper truck hanging around in town because I smell it.
Oh,
No, no, I I
cool.
didn't mean to say that. I see it parked around town occasionally. So I agree with you. Invest in toilets. None of those people that are trying to sell are not licensed real estate agents. Well, see, I've been burned. All
Invest in
right, so
tobacco.
yeah,
Tobacco.
I could tell. Oh, yeah, this happened to us.
Yes.
So I want to tell you a story. I could tell it now.
Okay.
we went through. So we get called by a real estate agent. This is when we had a 6 month lease in Cebu. So we were looking around. We called the real estate agent. It was a friend of um, one of our YouTube friends. And so we called her up, highly recommended her, and so I was happy to take him up on his suggestion. And so, well, I wasn't going to say who it is, but I'll tell you, it was Sir Leonard, who has since passed away. So Sir
Mm.
Leonard said, "You go and do business with her, and she shall not disappoint." And she didn't disappoint. He described her perfectly. She was like a pit bull on a pork chop. I mean, she would move in for the kill. But here's what happened, right? She takes us to a place. We love the apartment. We're going to be there for 6 months. We rented it, and then I come to find out that she was not the listing agent, right? She was
Uh-oh.
not the listing agent. And so what ended up
Uh-oh.
happening was the listing agent failed to give her share of the commission. And so
Uh-oh.
she calls me up one day very distraught. Mr. Dan, I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. And that guy and so this guy worked for a very big real estate company in Cebu. If I told you the name, Mike, you probably would know it. And so this guy, I called him up and I said, you know what? I will never. I said because you screwed her over. I am never gonna recommend any of my bazillionaire friends, of which I have none. But it's the only thing that I could think to say. I said I am not going to ever recommend you to any of my bazillionaire friends, and I full well intend to recommend that they use my real estate agent, and you guys can, and I don't care whether you guys have the listing or not, they will not go through you. And so the guy was like, oh, I'm so sorry this happened. No, you're not sorry, right? And then now on the other end, she was such a poor businesswoman. I said, well, did you sign any kind of non-disclosure agreement with him or an agreement binding him to, the commission, where he has to pay the commission or a certain percentage of it, once you rent this unit out for him. And she goes, no, I didn't because I thought he was honest. He was an honest guy. Well, now we know the truth about him. And then I just said, you did such a good job and driving us all around and we looked at least a dozen different places. And so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pay you the commission. But I gave her my advice too. I said you really have to watch yourself next time. Yeah, we were right there in Lahug. We were right there between the universities. Uh, uh, what, what are the names of them? What are the names of them? University of Cebu was one. San Carlos. It says device not connected, Bruce. It said device not connected. Text later going to appointment. Okay, have a great day. Silent Assassin Gamer is here. Silent Assassin Gamer. Let's see. All right. You should be good to go. Who else do we have? I'm behind in the chat. I do apologize. Do you have plans of having a poop bank business, or Dan? No. No, I do not. I do not. Oh, Bruce, there you are. Do you have your mic on? Uh, are you talking because we can't hear you? we get I'm not very good at reading lips, and besides that, all I can see are your eyes, right? Oh, here you go. How are you doing? Are you there, Bruce? No, there's no sound, no sound whatsoever. Maybe when you're moving things around, you jostled that microphone. See if it unplugged. Sometimes that happens to me. There you
Hello?
go. Yeah, you're
Oh, sorry.
good.
The
You're
thing
good.
and these I I'm using my laptop. So
Hmm. Hey, who's going to Chunghwa? Who's going to Chunghwa Hospital or Chunghua Hospital? I've been there. I've been there. I'll tell you there. I've been through to Doctor's Hospital. I've been to Uh, the one that I don't like is Cebu University Hospital. I got to tell you the absolute truth. I did not like it. I did not like it. They
I just got
and
a
the reason why was because Chung. I got great service at a doctor's hospital in Chunghwa, but the problem was is that they talked down to me at Cebu University Hospital, and I didn't enjoy that. And finally, I
oh
just got
man,
tired of the doctor talking down to me. Yeah, it was close,
jeez.
very close. Well, Cebu has a lot of people in it, but geographically, it is not that big of a place. Yeah, it's an island, Tim. You can go from point A to point B during rush hour. Even the furthest points A and B, you're gonna be there within 30 minutes or so, I would say. So that was a reason for going there too. Is the medical facilities are close by. But yeah, so I had University of Cebu Hospital. The doctor wanted to talk down at me, and I said, you know something, I don't really need. Listen, I don't really need you as my doctor, honestly, because I said I got Google. I got Google MD. And so when you have Google MD, what do you need a guy like you for? You're old school. You're old school. You got to catch up. You got to catch up. You're about ready to be put out of a job by a robot. So okay, you can
Wow.
you can act all pompous if you want to, and you can yell and scream or do whatever the hell you want because you have an MD next to your name. But I have money in my wallet for which you will not get. And so that was the end of that. I never met a guy quite like this guy that worked in gastroenterology there at Cebu University Medical Center. He was a complete and total waste of time, a complete ass. So he would say something to me, and I was like, well, shouldn't we be taking a look at this? Shouldn't we be taking a look at that? And he
Right.
would just be completely ignoring me. And yet I
I've
would
got
have the
gas.
research. I would have the research papers in my hand. I would show him, look at this research. He wouldn't even look at it. He was just a total
I
pompous
couldn't get
ass.
into my doctor. I couldn't get into my doctor a couple, some years back, um, because like there's, after the 2020 thing, uh, there was still a lot of staff that wasn't put on, right away.
Right,
So
right.
I had to go to the hospital a bunch of times, and I've got gastritis issues. Okay,
Mhm.
and I told you that yesterday. I got gastritis issues, and literally, I had this doctor here. He, like he goes, well, you've been here a bunch of times. Well, I said, you know what? I said, I did what every one of you doctors have said. I've called my doctor. I put into, and I got put on like a list at the time because they didn't have openings. So they put you on a list, just like they do at the dentist office too. Sometimes you get put on a list to get seen as quick as possible. So
Right.
this guy, I'm having pain. This guy, he's like, well, I can't give you any pain medicine. I can't do this. And I said, listen, dude, I go, I'm not some like drug addict. I'm not, like, I said, you know, like, you're treating me like I'm one of these guys coming in to look. I said they gave me stuff. I said, how about you guys figure out the damn problem? I said instead of sitting here complaining to me, and you're basically not going to do nothing for me. Like that's literally what they said. We're just you just have to deal with it. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, I waited like 3 hours to get in here, and you told me you're not gonna help me with anything. You're a jerk. Like figure the problem out. They couldn't figure it out at the gastritis office. So like something's wrong here. My stomach's hurting.
Hmm.
You guys are a hospital. Why can't you help me? Literally, this guy, I swear to God, Dan, he said he wouldn't he treated me like I was a drug addict. And I'll tell you, man, I reported him and I don't care. He treated me like I was dog shit. I'm sorry, that's what he did. And I was respectful, but damn, if you can't figure out the problem, then I have no reason. What was the point of if you're not going to do anything for me? Like, are you
That
going to
is
do this to other
surprising
people?
because they do have uh, great medical care up there where you're at. You're up there, aren't you up there with Tim? Are you up there near Clark? Are you in
No,
Pampanga?
no,
Where are
no,
you
no.
at?
I'm not in. I'm in the states right now, but no, I'm
Oh, you're in the
literally.
States, but when you're,
No, I had good care. I had good care. I go to private when I'm there.
hmm
I went to a public hospital once. I mean, they were nice or nothing. They weren't rude. I mean, they weren't rude like they are here. No, this was a guy here in America that was
oh
just a
well, they're
complete
of
jerk,
course they're like that.
complete
Yeah,
jerk,
they're like that.
a complete jerk.
I've had that experience before. You know,
I'm not
I
going to
have a
give you
good
nothing.
I have a good doctor in the States right now. You know, he keeps bugging me, sending me messages. Dan, you got to get in for your colonoscopy. I said, Doc, I've had three. I've had three since I left California. I don't have any record of that. I said, you don't? I go, I had two of them before I left California. I had one over here in the Philippines. You know,
Wow.
you should have two of them, records of two of them should be on that universal medical computer thing. I don't have them. I said, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I got them right there in Sacramento. You should have them. You know, I said, well, what was on there? I said, you know, just the usual stuff. Nothing to worry about. You know, he said, well, can
Yeah,
you
and
uh,
it took him like
electronically send?
7 years.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like you like okay. So one of the medicines I was taking that they gave me here was a muscle relaxer, which I don't even know why I was taking in the first place, but they put me on it.
Hmm.
And the doctor told me there, literally two of them, you need to get rid of that crap. That stuff is eating your stomach up. Do you not read? And they literally told me, like, and gave me paperwork and everything. Now, would they have told you that here? My doctor would have. My regular doctor, of course, he would, because he gives a crap about people. But when you're dealing with people every day in an ER, 24/7, they're going to give you paperwork on whatever it is. If it's really something serious, they're going to give it to you.
Right. We
But
well,
for
you know
whatever
how.
reason, they didn't say, oh, well, by the way, this is hurting you. And I come to find out not one but two of them, and a third one in her province has a hospital, literally said, what the hell is your husband doing on this crap? Listen, this is what we deal with, and again, I'm not going to put people down, but I'm also not going to have anybody uh treat me like I'm some kind of dope fiend looking for drugs. If
Right.
you guys had if you had the answer, okay, I get it. All right, why did it take you 4 years to give me something that now I can eat, I can take care of myself, I can get healthy now. But no, why did it take them 4 years? Instead, what do? They literally dope you up full of drugs, give you muscle relaxers, give you a bunch of pain medicine, and then when you literally, like I was literally in so much pain, all right, that you have a doctor come in and he is just a complete jerk, and he's treating you like you've done something
Oh, here.
to the world
If
or
you
something.
well, I'll tell you what. You're reminding me of something I saw when Minnie and I were in Thailand, right? So This guy comes in, so I had an appointment to go in because I had an ear infection. So I'm going to the specialist for that. So I show up there, and there's a guy arguing with the doctor because the doctor will not prescribe him opiates. Now, in Thailand, there, if you show up at the airport and you've got opiates in your carry-on and you've got no prescription to back it up, you're going to jail, and we're not going to see you for a very long time. And depending on what kind of mood they're in, they're going to keep you there for for I mean, they're going to keep you there and quite possibly even execute you for smuggling drugs into Thailand. And so uh, there was a guy arguing with him because the guy kept saying to him, I'm in terrible pain. I need opiates." And the doctor was trying to help him, saying, "Have you tried this drug? Have you tried that drug?" The guy was doing everything in his power to try and help this guy. Finally, the guy said, "I see him. I see him on your shelf." Because the in Thailand, for some reason, they had all the pharmaceuticals on display, almost like the doctor also sells the pharmaceuticals that he's prescribing. Nice, tidy little business, right? Nice way to make money. But
Yeah.
he would not prescribe the painkillers. And so now in the United States, it's 10 times worse if you go in there and you start talking about pain, and they get the idea that you want them to prescribe an opiate drug, and they are watching them like so closely. They're now running computer algorithms on those guys, and so they're
Well,
tracking
people don't
how much
realize that you
opiates,
can't.
how much painkiller they're
You can't.
prescribing. So
But they're the doctors in Asian countries like that are not going to just give you like they do here, because for one, the Asian like the Asian doctors really don't recommend people taking any of that stuff, because it's really, obviously we know it's bad for you.
right,
And
right.
they don't want to get somebody addicted too. Now me,
Well, hell,
when I went in,
if
they
you
gave
can
me
get them to
stuff.
prescribe it in the states, you're hitting a home run because it takes okay, Tim, take care, because I mean it's a nightmare trying to get. I've tried several times, but I
Oh
mean
no,
if they say
I've got
if they
paperwork for the
say if they
stuff I
say
take.
no, then I don't push them on it. You know,
No, you can't.
yeah, I
Me,
don't
when
push
I was in
them.
the hospital, they gave
Yeah,
they gave me some stuff, and they gave me some stuff um to to go home with and everything. I wasn't,
good,
but again, I
good.
wasn't this guy yelling at somebody. They knew I was in pain and stuff, but
But he was
and
yelling at you, right? He was yelling at you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
they
I would
don't.
have given him a little bit of room just because the guys are under so much pressure to not to not do it. And so you know how sometimes they'll go too far to the left or too far to the right, and then it takes it because they're getting pressure from the FDA and DEA and all these companies, um, all the law enforcement people and the regulators, and then they go off over here, they go off over here, and then eventually they come towards the middle. And I think we're almost there in the United States where they found the middle ground. And so, but they send them reports. They send the doctors reports now. I don't know if you know this or not, and it
Mhm.
shows them exactly how much drug they prescribed, what kind of drugs they prescribed, and where they are nationally when they run the algorithms. They get compared to every other doctor in the country, and then they give them a little graph and it shows them how far they are over going the line where it'll launch where somebody will make an inquiry. And so I mean
Oh yeah.
it's real. Yeah, I didn't know if you know that was going on or not.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like me, uh, the last lady I said, um, I had like, I've always brought proof, like, of my medicines that I take. and
Mhm.
the lady was like literally nice as can be. And she's like, I'll give you pain if you want. I just told her, I said, I don't need the pain stuff, but if there's something that's similar to what I'm taking. And there was like, I don't know, my wife and the doctor looked, there's like six of the same kind. I was like, because I don't want to walk around, especially in the Philippines, like out in the province, man, where it's already bad enough that I broke my foot. I'm kind of off balance a little bit at times on things. So and did take a fall. Uh, thank God I didn't get hurt or nothing. But when you're a size like I am and you fall, it hurts.
Where did you
But that's for
fall?
any.
Here in the Philippines or
Yeah,
back at
I
home?
fell. I tripped on our steps.
In the Philippines?
Yes, I tripped on some steps. I wasn't.
You know something I got to tell you. That's something my friends and I are talking about all the time.
People were laughing,
That's
but
like we're always talking about, how we keep looking down and how careful we are when we're walking around and because just one false move here in the Philippines, you're going to end up in a pothole, in a ditch, yeah, on steps where they're uneven, right? So you're expecting a step to be there, and there's no step. It's a half inch longer, a half inch shorter than the next one, right? That sort of thing. And so, I mean, that
my
it
wife,
does.
my
Go
wife
ahead.
holds my arm, especially when we have to take the boat or something to get on the boat to go into the town. She's like, she grabs,
Right.
she grabs my arm, because it's not like people got to look at it. You could sit there and say, well, this long board, board that they have, this bamboo board that you can
Oh, it
to get
scares the
on it.
hell out of me. Scares
It
the
scares
hell
the
out
hell
of
out of you.
me.
You know what I mean? And so she was always doing that. Like, that's what I can say. I do like about Filipinos, and they literally will bend over backwards for you, man. A good one will bend over backwards for you. Excuse me.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they will. So, for yeah, so of course, I'm sure that that whatever the issue is, regarding what you're suffering from, I'm sure you have availed yourself to, all your options. I'm sure that you have.
Oh yeah. All they
Yeah.
all they told me is all the lady told me was is just like I had my paperwork,
Mhm.
and she just wanted to make sure and like look over, but literally like she didn't even care. The doctors didn't care in the Philippines. Like they'll give you they'll literally will give you whatever you need, but they're not going to just give you, they're not going to, like Dan's saying, you cannot walk in. I don't care who it is, don't matter if you're a foreigner, don't matter if you're a citizen there. You got to give these people respect. If you do not give them respect and you start arguing with them, it's not going to look good for you. You're going to put a target on yourself, especially as a foreigner. You don't need that. You don't want that. And if they say no, it's
Well,
no.
you're
You
right
know?
about that. You will, but I do like the way things work here. Where that you can go to one doctor and the doctor he'll give you a referral and he'll say, "Okay, we need you to go get a CT scan. Go see my buddy over here. He's a
Yeah.
radiologist and he'll go ahead and take care of it
That's
for
what
you."
you mean. That's
And
what I
then
did.
and then so what would end up happening a lot of times. So I would take that referral. I would go over there to get the CT scan or whatever it is that he was referring me to, and then never find him there. Find out, oh, he's at a conference for a month, or he's at a conference. He never shows up to work. He's supposed to be here at 9, but he called a little while ago and said he's not going to make it till 2. This happens all
Right.
the time here in the Philippines. So the
You
beautiful
can't
part,
let
the
it
part
bother
that
you. Don't get stressed over it if you can't, because that happens.
no, no, I
I
don't.
mean,
What I do is I just take the referral and I say, okay, how many radiologists do we have in town? There are 3. I said, okay, let's look for the next one, and we'll take that referral over to somebody else. They'll grab the referral from you, and they'll say, okay, yeah, I could do this. They'll say, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What happened to so and so? He can't do it. He's not there." You know, I got the
Right.
referral. I've been going there, and then they'll usually know where they're at. Oh yeah, so and so they're at a special conference in Japan and Taiwan and China, and so they will. I know that they're not there, so I'll go ahead and do this for you. And so I've never had a problem getting stuff done in a timely manner, not necessarily by the person that I was referred to, but usually just about any doctor, especially if they want their paycheck, if they want to get paid, they will do it for you, you see? And so I like it. I like that part. So Minnie had surgery on her leg a couple months ago, about six. It's been probably about 6 months. Could not. So we get referred to the orthopedic surgeon, and we keep going back, going back, going back. This dude is never in during office hours. It became so frustrating. I said, you know what? We got to get this thing out. We got to get this thing, this ganglion cyst. It keeps growing. It's pushing on the
Right.
nerve, and I know that we got to get it out. So I went around. I just started talking. Who is the best orthopedic surgeon in this town? And they gave me the name of a guy, and we went over there. He was in his office, and it turned out that there was a familial connection, which oftentimes happens here in the Philippines, that somebody's going to be a family member or relative of somebody. And he took Minnie in right away and said, "Oh, we gotta get that thing out of you. We're gonna do it tomorrow." And be there at the hospital. I'll make sure they have all the doctor's orders. Everything will be ready to go. You just go there. You get admitted. It's going to be one night overnight stay, and boom, everything went so smoothly. And and nobody ever asked me about the other doctor that referred us over to his buddy who was the orthopedic surgeon originally. He never even
Right.
asked. He says, "Oh, did you get the surgery done?" "Yeah, we got it done. Thanks, doc." That's all I said to him. You know, that's it. He didn't ask, "Oh, did you use my friend?" Probably he knows that we didn't. Anyway, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. Bruce, thanks for stopping by. We're going to call it a
Yeah, man.
night. Folks, thanks to everybody for being here, and we'll see you on the next one tomorrow.
Hey,
Take care, everyone.
before you go, Dan, you know what?
Yeah.
The people are lucky, man. The people, all the friends that you have, and everybody has here. You're lucky. Dan keeps doing this. I think it's a good thing that Dan's going live and doing this because literally, like for me, it helps me right now, like because I'm not there. And after the bad stuff that happened, literally, I'm getting texts like there's nothing I can do. Like even if I wanted to send you a bunch of money, you couldn't even get up because everything's closed down. You couldn't get anything. So
Right, right.
like these live streams of my friends, my true friends that are in the Philippines doing stuff. This helps. It
Oh,
helps
yeah.
me,
Oh, well, great.
and
Thanks
I
for
learn.
thanks for saying that.
You're
Thanks for
welcome,
saying
man.
that. Actually
Yeah.
helps a lot of people, because the people that live here, right, they get the perspective, they get a full view of the issues that expats, foreigners think about, and it helps them out too. I'm sure there are people in here that are dating, they're dating, a foreigner in here. Nobody talks about it in here. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they, but it helps give them perspective also. So
Oh yeah.
really, I thank you for the kind words. All right,
You're
everybody,
welcome, man.
take care now. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.